Before our beloved Khenchen Tsutrim Lodro gives us the teachings on the four Gampopas, you are allowed to take pictures. Please try not to be invasive. You can make some recordings, but try not to make any noise, please, during the teachings. The text book is available outside. If you want a copy on the four Dharmas of Gampopa is available for you to purchase. So I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everybody in the presence of our wonderful teacher, the bright shining light, Khenchen Tsutrim Lodro, in the 21st century, his blessings everywhere, and thanking our resident teacher and spiritual director, Gampopa Samdrup, for arranging his presence here and enabling him to give his blessings in Ohio and Washington, D.C. and elsewhere. So I'd just like to introduce Gampopa Samdrup and request him to give us a brief introduction of Khenchen Tsutrim Lodro. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. We are so fortunate to welcome to Khenchen Tsutrim Lodro to the United States and here to Gong Dharma Syria. I have had the blessing of being at Lodro twice. The first time I went to as a student of Gampopa Jimmy Pinso, and I had to trek for a month. It was an intense journey. I thought of the strength of Marpalosa and that fought for me to succeed. The second time, just a year ago, I went to see Khenchen Tsutrim Lodro. I didn't expect the journey to be as difficult. And then I meet even more obstacles. When I arrived, there were so many monks. I couldn't even get close to his great teacher. Getting to Lodro hasn't been easy, yet their teachings I received during the journey and from this master have been invaluable. Now, as we prepare for the 80th celebration, 800th celebration of Lord Jigten Sumgun's pre-nirvana, His Eminence Garchin Rinpoche shared in Tibet, Gampopa Jimmy Pinso established the greatest monastery with tens of thousands of monks, one of the largest monasteries in the world. Although he has already passed away, this vast Dharma establishment he created still remains because Khenchen Tsutrim Lodro cares for and sustains the monastery. Therefore, he is a very special spiritual teacher. Actually, there is no difference between Khenchen and Manjushri. So many students in Western countries possess great wisdom and intelligence, and through his intelligence we can recognize Khenchen as genuine spiritual master. And now, due to our supplications, he is visiting us here in the West. This is something I would really like to bring to your attention, because it is a very special opportunity. I encourage all disciples to seize the opportunity, take the opportunity, and meet this inconceivable being. Today, we are so fortunate to be here face to face, starting with such as remarkable teacher. It is essential that we develop determination and appreciation for the teachings and the Dharma. Welcome Khenchen Tsutrim Lodro and his translator Kat Hadi and Susu. Thank you. So now we have going to do the opening prayer. Please this page. It's page 6. Oh, Mother Sentient beings, especially those enemies who hurt me, obstacles who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and amnesia. May they experience happiness, be separate from suffering, and safely I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Oh, Mother Sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstacles who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and amnesia. May they experience happiness, be separate from suffering, and safely I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Dalai Dhamma Sepeda, no Bara Sepege, Taraba Dam Dam Jen Jen Be Barada Ju Bara Seba, Tam Je Je Zor Sebe, Mai Nanga Dai Nyam Be Sem Je Dam Je Dewa Dam De, Do Ngar Dam Jar Nyor De La Nam Eva, Yang Da Bar Zo Be San Ju Rumbo Je To Bar San. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and mind. Next page. So we do the once English only. We take refuge in the kind Ru Lama and the lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deity of the mandalas of the Yadams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble darkness, Dharma gardens, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Page 9. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent. I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Next page. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the example of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightenment and progress in the Bodhisattva's path, are true for the benefit of all sentient beings, giving birth to bodhicitta, and apply myself to complete stage of the path. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never be separate from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. So now, page 14. No, this is very long. So we go to mandala offering. So before mandala offering, page 18, we chant this, then we do the mandala offering. Page 18. My page 18 is unequal refuge. Supplication to Lord Jigten Songul. Do you have that?
Yes.
Okay. Unequal refuge, ornament of the world. Your firm provides the 3,000 world. You are the victor, Vajradhara, widow adore. I bow at the feet of Father Jigten Songul. Continually attain of no one but you. Compassionate one, grant your blessings. Dispel the darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I can realize and liberate nature of mind. So now we chant the Vajrasattva mantra, long one, and then go into offering mandala. Om Benzara Sadhu Samaya Manibalaya Benzara Sadhu Dinamba Tijan Jome Bava Senda Vayame Bava Senda Vayame Bava Ayane Bava Sarva Sendemena Avagarma Sesame Saparana Samaye Nije Mindra Zombondamare Shojala Varje Menjeje Gazon de Naya Dengan Jeje Gazon de Name Marishan Jelo. Page 21. Page 21. Please chant the word of the Dharma, of the true workers, and the according to the disposition and likewise the mental capacity of sentient beings. Semje Namje Sambada lo ye ze ra je da wa che jong de mon de ba ye che jeng go lo go de zo Pomba lame sanje rambo che joba lame tamje rambo je remba lame gende rambo je jamne gonjo son lan juba mo
다나 총공증지 추천공증지다 봤어 호진 여전의 장장 바마게서 동보라 양전 저거 무전이 바만 존의 지서 고등 관조 만보 고르지 지서 다저지 신제라 저저저 거라 밤 서다 호진 여전의 장장 바마게서 동보 염전 저거 무전이 바만 존의 지서 고등 관조 만보 고르지 지서 다저 신제 랍저 저저 거라 밤 서다 호진 여전의 장 야마게서 동보라 염전 저거 무전이 바만 존의 지서 고등 관조 만보 지지 지서 다저 지 신제 랍저 저저 거라 밤 서다 오마홍 반저런 거라 밤 서다 오마홍 반저런 거라 밤 서다 오마홍 밤 서다 오마홍 반저런 거라 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 밤 오마홍 반저런 거라 밤 서다 jelada jansora da bindi da soganda ne be sabjosa nanda wampo tamso jawa chuda jajin beram za da sur chumden dem gombo jahora yang la jang zarlo Gangalo dru demni demdru nida nanda ra sarve chenye donga churja zirja nije da karalo Kanda dribi zara maru mando dingara jezarve ndozo kanla vache darche yamda drije yamda Dudra je dro nyamo nyalo rije jadro dromza jang maru maze dingara nyega chenye jamza radra Dune daja sabjin daso yonda lezo jate da oga chadra chadang chani ja Dolu manziran jahura yala Data omara baza narda omara baza narda omara baza Omara baza narda 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 Chirdan jijin jero ozirji dalo dharma mambaraz Gadam danju jolu dobai lodro rubi nawa jeta sor Nyaji jembo zordan nyume jang zone monum jembo ngabya ta bakara tangam zandu sharmat tomba tije jala shansar lo teni gewi shinye namba tang teni terang nga tsu chujin ke namba tamchila nga zhu de la kan samzhi yin
So first of all, I would like to say good morning to all of the Dharma mentors here, as well as everyone who has come to listen to this teaching today.
Dharma dewa
Oh, did everybody hear that, or should I repeat it? Repeat, okay. So first of all, I would like to say good morning to all the Dharma mentors here today, as well as everyone who came to listen to the teaching.
야, teni 다들랑 같이 추송디나라 다린 같이 탕 니바린도
This is my second time to this center.
teni terang aso teni chuchak nangdonde teni nyame takboron bochi ga teni chuji zia chuji tsawa zia terendos.
The topic of today's teaching will be the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa, or the 4 roots of Gampopa.
Teni nyame takboron bochi tena chokore Gampopa zena chokore teni kung ta sherdang teni ta po kanjen ga teni jong lama namji nane lama halepa teni karchishu teni samji meche pa lama teni zres.
Whether we refer to him as Gampopa or by his other name of Dakpo Rinpoche, he was and is an extraordinarily important and inconceivable Lama in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Generally, in terms of Tibetan Buddhist lineages, he's classified as a Kagyu Lama. But he's also considered as a Lama of the entire Tibetan tradition. And among his teachings are many that are extremely wonderful and profound. Of the most condensed of these teachings is this one, the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa. And a teaching of his that is slightly more extended or comprehensive than this is the jewel ornament of liberation. Among his various compositions, though, are many that are even more extensive than these. The contents of these teachings are considered to be, in Tibet, extremely profound teachings and mind trainings. So everyone regards these as teachings with great capacity to benefit the mind. There are 4 or 5 collected works of Gampopa. I'm not sure whether they all exist in English version, but I'm sure that some of them do. And if you were all able to read these works, it would be truly wonderful. As for myself, I read them a lot. And in general, in the Drigong tradition, there are many great instructions and on the practice of Buddhism. In times gone past, it was quite rare to be able to get hold of these works in Tibetan. But these days, with digitization, they're easy to get hold of. So, as for the instructions, the personal instructions of these lamas, I usually read them like this, in this form. And they're really very excellent. They just have such great benefit for the mind.
수수 따나 심라 판통근 어떤지 저거요레스.
So when I say truly excellent, I'm basically meaning that they have great capacity to benefit the mind.
드니 뜻소양 인지가 돌아양 갈라강섬 요거요 나탕.
And it's possible that some of these do exist in English.
드니 요나테 인담만다 따고 건도서.
And if they do exist, then all of you really must read them.
대 할리바가 드니 약보든지 뜻소 마타나 드니 가서로 방보 든지
If they're so wonderful that if you didn't read them, it really would be a loss.
드니 가서 추송디 드니 대 라마 조된 가시는 보치엔 사례사.
So the main Lama of this center is Gachin Rinpoche.
드니 가치는 보치나 드니 가서 보고 라마 드니 감바 소나네요 할리바가 드니 가치슈고 라마 찍리스.
Gamba?
감바 기바.
Oh, let's say. Gachin Rinpoche is an extremely important lama among the elderly lamas of Tibet.
드니 가서 보고 나니 드니 라마 추바 ngumi nguni tane satang damba 든지
And as a lama, as a Dharma practitioner, is really a fully qualified practitioner.
드니 추바 냠충레스.
And is a very humble practitioner too.
대 로중배 약보신 그 머레스.
And a person, a being who has studied extraordinarily well.
드니 추고 나도 ngumate 냠림신 그 멋든지
And someone who really practices the true content of the Dharma.
드니 가치는 뭐체 드니 라마 가치 비김선데 가서 보고 지니 저 연재한다다 저 라마 연재 드니 망침보든지 요 비김선징에서 말해서.
And when I say that Gachin Rinpoche is an important teacher, it's not because, he's a lama or he's a tulku with a particular title. This is not the reason that I say this.
드니 그런 추나 가서 탐바침부 추 나라 송바 저따와 진데 드니 냠림신근 랑랑란뎀 근 드니지 임비 토니 드니 라마 가친리 메테제요.
The reason that I do call him important is because he is someone who actually implements in practice the teachings exactly as they are in the Mahayana tradition. Now he is quite advanced in years. And of course, all of us pray and hope and aspire that elderly lamas such as him will live for a long time. But in any case, while he is still here with us, everyone should seek empowerments from him and oral instructions from him. Of course, in the future there will be other good lamas like him. However, whether or not there will be many such lamas, we can't say for sure. As for the top-rate lamas from Tibet, most of them live outside Tibet. So as for practitioners inside Tibet, most are not able to receive teachings, empowerments, instructions from these lamas. But you, everyone here, is able to seek empowerments, teachings, and instructions from these lamas. And this really is your good fortune, your good karma. So it's really important that you don't fail to take advantage of this opportunity.
다 가서 보고 되니 라마 소원하니 망보 되니 라마 할레바 라마 약보도 소원하니 다 망보스 되니 다 되니 장지니 되니 단데 차라레스.
So many of Tibet's best lamas have already passed on to the higher realms. They've passed away.
되니 같이 보지 거는데 다 망보스 요 말레스.
Kabbalah.
같이 보진다 보 공소 고소 제데 망보스 다요 말레스.
And there's not many left that are like Gachin Rinpoche or of his cohort.
근데 인디 되니 조선군데 전에 충무마스 냠린치 삼나 되니 공소 금든네 되니 추 야보 제고레 거급 담보 증고 그래.
And so if you really do wish to practice the Dharma, it's so important to go before these lamas and seek teachings from them to really seize the opportunity that exists.
되니 라마 소드니 내 차리 지니 되니 마음 발라 되니 라마 야보 용 그래.
Of course, after these lamas have passed away, yes, good lamas will still continue to arise.
얘나 나초 멋진디 나라 되니 조본조보 되니 야보 용 백하보레.
However, whether or not they will occur in this short lifetime of ours is quickly is very difficult to say.
되니 인디 되니 참마 되니 라마 가르게 라마 페 야보테 솔라 나초 되니 꼼빈듯이 다 까윈듯이 더제나고 꼼빈듯이나 꼼모인 빈듯이
Well, let's say.
되니 까윈듯이나 나초 되니 니까와 찻까와 되니 근듯이 요거 그래서.
So it's really important that in respect of these wonderful elderly lamas that we really are aware that they are rare beings and that our opportunity to meet with them too is rare as well. So everyone please bear this in mind. So we're going to begin now with today's teaching.
되니 대랑 그 가서 추치대 되니 다 감보바가 되니 추지자와 어제야 데레스.
So the topic of today's teaching is Gampopa's four Dharmas.
되니 추지자한데라 되니 샬륵 망보여레스.
And as to these this root text, there are many different explanations.
되니 츠할리바 충충 용용 되지레스.
Because the amount of words in the original text are very few. In fact, there are virtually no texts that contain fewer words than this text. It is very condensed. However, in terms of the content, it's extremely profound. So as to this content, there are really two different strands of explanation or commentary. One of these follows or is that which Gampopa or how Gampopa explained it himself or how he said it himself. There is a small commentary that goes hand in hand with the root text that was written by Gampopa. So what this text is a very simple and convenient presentation of the varying levels of Dharma practice that an individual practitioner requires. And then the other strand of explanation of these teachings is from those teachers who came after Gampopa and composed commentaries on his root text.
Tani ta tendra boyna tani ta tsingnyong tinang la tani nga zu sangje ge tamba yung su zokba tinang la tani ndeshyam ni tani shiores.
So within these few lines of text, the entirety of the Buddhist teachings are encompassed.
Tani kiw sim ge lam la jarni tani sonyores.
And this small text sets out the paths of practice for practitioners of 3 different levels.
Tani kiw sim ze ate kangre zina kiw chung kiw mjangbo tani kiw chimbo zina tani simres.
And when we say the 3 levels of practitioners, what we mean is practitioners of lesser, average, and greater propensities and capacities.
Tani kiw sim go tani lam ze kiw chung go lam kiw mjangbo go lam kiw chimbo go lam zina tani lam chung mjangbo chimbo tani simres.
And corresponding with these 3 different levels of practitioners are 3 different levels of path. So a lesser path, an average path, and a greater path.
Tani kiw sim go tani lam tinang la ta sangje ge tamba mali yung su zokba tinang la ndiyor.
And within the 3 paths of the 3 practitioners, all of the Buddhist paths are encompassed.
Tani sangje ge song kang dang kang yin na tani kiw sim ge lam ge nang la mandi pa yo mare.
Kabbalah.
Tinang la mandi pa yo mare sangje ge song kang yin na kiw sim ji lam ge nang la mandi pa.
And there's nothing in the Buddhist teachings that is, or in the teachings of the Buddha, that is not encompassed in these 3 paths of the 3 different levels of practitioner.
Tani tani ge ja chimbo go ne tani shalik chi yores.
There is a more vast or comprehensive explanation of this.
Tani ta terang nga cho tani ta Gampopa tani rang songwa tarta tani nga cho nyamlin shil mushik nyamlin shil ko thola tabdepo shini shan na te gasares.
But rather than explaining it in this very vast or comprehensive way, today we are going to be looking at this text primarily from Gampopa's perspective, and that is that of the practice of an individual practitioner.
Tani tindri shini tani shan na tani nga cho suso nyamlin la pantong yung kores.
Because if we teach from this perspective, then this has benefit to everyone's personal practice.
Tani suso tani semla yung pantong yung kores.
And has benefit to everyone's mind.
Tani na tani nga cho ta tabdepo shini nyamlin la bjarni tani shan na tani chik tani ta Gampopa. Rang tani te song rapore tani ni te nga chu nyamlin la tani pantong yung kandu tindi shini shak yins.
So in presenting the teachings today in a simple way that is closely connected to our practice, this is similar or approaches the way that Gampopa presented his own teachings, and it is also of benefit to our practice.
Tani ta chu je tani tangbo de kangre zena tani te chu sun rowa zi te res chu sun rowa.
So of the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa, the first of them is to grant blessings for worldly virtue to turn to the pure Dharma.
Tani ta te nga so gandhi ko len ko res tani chu zi tinala tani chu ni res tangbo chu jin de she ba zi chu jin de gerwa zi tani nala chu nga ma dang chu shima ni sik tinala tong yo res.
So within the original Tibetan language version of this line of the text, it literally translates as grant blessings for the Chö, to turn to the Chö. And Chö in Tibetan means the Dharma. So in this line we need to differentiate what the first Chö is and the second Chö is.
Tani Gampopa songa nala yang tani yang tsu jamba chi yo res te kangre zena 추진의 마시나서 그래서 추진의 마시나서 가서 추듬나 그런 추다 낭돈 따도 듣고 그래 맞도 봐 추디 추양다 마시나서 그래서 추진의 마시나 추기라는 안송된 로서 더시 그 추드더니 그런 추양다 봐 듣다 신이 듣고 그래 맞도 봐 되니 추이나 신실로 듣나 되니 안송란도 그래서
So in Gampopa's explanation or commentary on his own text, he wrote that it is necessary for us to practice the correct Dharma or the proper Dharma rather than engage in action that is incorrect or unvirtuous.
그래서 추추진의 마시나 추기라는 안송된 로지 가서 배나 추즈 접고나 되니 때 양딱바 접고 그래 마떡바 양딱바 마접나 되니 추양 가서 안송란로야 되니 시그레스
That's it.
그래서
And so Gampopa said was it's necessary for us to practice the Dharma in a correct way. Failing to do this, practicing the Dharma in an incorrect way will lead us to descend to the lower realms.
다이서와 야 다더니 되니 추듭나티 안송라 가린도 그래 삼ling 가서 삼로들이 용기레스
The Yanjasona Jigriba.
추듭나 되니 가서 안송란도 임선 강리사네 안송세나 거도
That's it, cool.
어 되니 추듭나 가서 안송란도 임선 가리레스나스
So you might ask, why is it if we practice the Dharma that we might descend to the lower realms?
되니 ngazo pena chudrub ko yinzeni teni mangte teni chula teni ayar ko yore chula ayar ne teni shawati jiting ko shawan ramanda mambo ti dubna teni chugan solan roa teni shegres.
The reason that this is said is if we simply borrow the word Dharma to say that we are practicing the Dharma, but in actual fact only undertake worldly actions, then for this reason one might descend to the lower realms. This is the reason behind it.
Teni ngazo zambolang ko chulu tamchi keteni lorji ko thola teni chula tenni mangte korang chu mangte kerne teni 돈디 되니 소소 기르게 되니 돈 몸도 mambo 드바 되니 쇼어레스 로지가 돌아
Within the history of the religions in the world, there are many instances of people carrying the name of a particular religion in order to undertake actions of all variety of kinds.
되니 출룩 소소라 되어래 되니 낭출라고 대당다 보여레스
Every single religion has this kind of phenomena in their history, and Buddhism is no exception.
되니 낭추 돌아 되니 나 로지가 돌아요 봐마서 되니 따르다양다 가 잠볼롱가 사자가와 가사가와라 망보여레스
And it's not just a historical phenomenon either. Still, in our current world, all over the place, this sort of thing is taking place.
되니 빼자나 되니 다 출라다가 띠니 다 빼는 고르고르 mam보더니 땅야 빼나 되니 다 라마 침보 마이나 인지 되니 트르크만나 인지 되니 원시메나 요지 되니 고르고르나마다 땅왔다고 빼나 되니 잡어레스
So, for example, people who use the Dharma to deceive others, for example, by claiming themselves to be a high lama when they're not, or claiming to be a tulku when they're not, or claiming to have specific magic powers when they don't.
되니 된다 보즈가 빼나 출라 때니 되니 낭라 되니 특바만 보더니 잡아 출르다 출르고 바리난다 되니 된다고 되레스
And also, there are often many conflicts between religions and among religions themselves.
되니 출르다 출르고 varla 되니 특바만 보더니 단 잠발랑 로지가 돌아 망보자요레
Interreligious conflict has been very common in the world's history.
낭출라 되니 상로 땅나 때즈 용용자 보레스
If we think about Buddhism, probably this has been slightly less than in other religious traditions.
얘나 나치고 돌아와 데리 자원이 숑 맘용아 말이스.
But it's certainly not the case that this has never occurred in Buddhism either.
뜻을 로지스 나마가 로지 따라요 데리 용거요.
So that's history, but nowadays these things still happen.
더니다 데리가 데리 츠바 침보 잡아 데리 많이 나요. 당가서 데리 배나 출루다 출루가 바라 데리 판선 찍어지라 끈디 드라마 보더니 제야다 데리가 거대양 데라 대양 데리 데 추추진데 많이 바세 그래서.
So even if it's not instances of large conflict, then even situations where religious traditions slander each other, then this is a situation of not being in accordance with the proper Dharma, as this first Dharma of Gampopa holds.
데니 카가 돌아 근데 데리 많이 나가 데니 심고 돌아 데니 판선 찍어지라 데니 공초다 차도다 데리시나 데니 대양 추추진데 시바 많이 바리스.
So not just words of slander, but also thoughts of anger and jealousy at the level of the mind directed against religions is also behavior that is not in accordance with our turning to the proper Dharma as the first Dharma holds.
데니 나랑 나초데니 샤르쇼거데니 데니 랑천 데니 총총스 그 돌아 송바연세 랑천제나 거와 샤다오야.
So I visited a small island in Asia.
데니 티 돌아 데니 출룩데니 망치슈데 데니 더 같이 출룩그래서.
And on this island, most people followed Islam.
데니 나바 뇽뇽진도.
But there were a few Buddhists.
데니 나바 뇽뇽 데라 데니 르크슴도.
Among these Buddhists, there were three kinds.
제도 데니 다 아주 냔투 르그렌도스 도죽.
And one kind or one type of Buddhist among this group were followers of Theravada Buddhism.
데니 니파팅 아주 데니 다 탁바침보 음도쇼 대진도.
And then there was a group who were followers of the Sutric tradition of the Mahayana.
데니 심바디 데니 다 가서 오죽 데니 상가 거드린도스.
And the third group were followers of Tibetan Vajrayana.
데니 르크슴보데 장가 할레바 뇽뇽레 사차텔라.
But the number of this third type, followers of Tibetan Vajrayana, were very, very small.
데니 코솔라 데니 징길 그 삼반라오다 판선 냠질 그 삼로라오 턴들시 그 삼로 싸와니 문도.
But this small group of followers absolutely had no notion of being united and harmonious among each other.
데니 냔투 데니 드소고 데니 시르당 탁바 침보드 소데니 추 마레즈네 카반데 군도스.
And because di koto sumba yena deni koto pensin deni jiku samba yomare. Okay, so those it was these three groups of Buddhists, this small group of Buddhists of three different kinds who were not united in their outlook. The Mahayana followers slandered the Theravada followers, saying that they the tepa member the tepa chebo the nangchu mares the So the Theravada followers were slandering the Mahayanists, saying that they weren't Buddhist.
데니 탁바 데니 맘바당나 데니 탁바 침보 노쇼더니 니가 그냥 상로도지 탁바 티추 마레즈도.
And then the Theravada and Sutric Mahayana followers claimed that the followers of Vajrayana were not Buddhists.
데니 고속은 나라 데니 특바적니 데니 건립신인 등등게 마탁바 냠질 그 고니 데니 낭추고 데니 머상말라 판토야다 고솔라 잡시지야 데니 삼로 자원에 당만도.
And so they were really just existing in a state of quarreling amongst themselves and insulting each other. They had no notion of coming together, uniting among themselves for the benefit of the teachings.
데니 고소 삼나 소소한 거 데니 더 추 돈도 인삼 그여래서 잠바솔라 까란dim도 고소한 거추 송교다 고소한 거추 야진라고 데니 돈 인삼 되고 요지레서 요사레서.
But each of these different groups of Buddhists, it seems, thought that they were acting in the best interests of their own religion. They thought that their actions, their slandering or insulting of the others was for the benefit or the preservation of Buddhism as they saw it.
Teni tongo tola teni da chuchujinda mashi pazji teni zira zegrezi. Chula teni control sak. Chula teni ngargir sak. Teni chula teni jambala kundibshit. Teni shina tela teni chuchujinda mashi pa zegrezi.
But in actual fact, their behavior, what constitutes that which is goes precisely against turning one's mind to the pure Dharma. That is, through the Dharma, they were generating anger, they were generating pride, and slandering each other.
Tani tenji shina teni ta chula teni ta panto mepa nyaming shini tarwa topa tamchin chimpa teni topa mepa matsat teni ngansung la teni ta ndorezi dukpa mergiwa sakni.
So not only in this kind of situation do the people not act in their own benefit or act in a way that is conducive to achieving liberation, but through their accumulation of negative karma set themselves up to descend to the lower realms.
Teni ten rabo teni ngaso chusok teni mambo na la te pena ngaso the sharshok da kangla ina nafshokla ina tang teni ngai nafshokla chaji mambo me teni sharshok da ina ya chusok mambo na la teni yang teni na la teni yang ta koso so rang pena teni chi ngen khan tan ngen khan pa la ina da teni ti gola teni te thoma da loma pa la ina teni nyokda mambo nduz.
And situations like this occur all over the place, especially in Asia. I'm not sure, perhaps it also happens in the West too, but I'm not so familiar with the situation here. But in any case, these are situations of conflict among centre members themselves, whether it be between leaders of the centre or among students. I'd say that this also happens in the West. Because humans everywhere have negative emotions and afflictions in their minds. And without methods for properly eliminating these afflictions, then great problems arise, whether it be in the East or in Western countries. In this situation, we use, on the basis of the Dharma or through the Dharma, we generate anger. Or through the Dharma, generate pride. Or generate jealousy. But we say that the Dharma is for eliminating things like pride, anger, and jealousy. But rather than reducing these negative emotions of pride and anger and desire, we simply make them increase. So this kind of thing is the opposite of what we say or what is held with the first Dharma of Gampopa, which involves granting blessings to turn to the pure and sacred Dharma. So when we say with this first Dharma of Gampopa, which I should add probably should be translated as to grant blessings to turn our mind from worldly wrongdoing to the correct Dharma. What this first Dharma means is that we need to practice the correct teachings.
Then choosea de nga so mi sem gana la then nyomong ba me then sham dang nyang ji dang shirap to so yar ji san ro o then shia tapshi then la choosea res.
And when we refer to Dharma in this context, the pure Dharma, this is a tradition of methods for eliminating afflictions and for advancing compassion and wisdom in our minds.
Then garting atsu then chude la then tenne so so sem gana la khongcho da yerdang da then ngarjer da to so ke ga yona then nga chu chude chu yang da ba main bi then son takas.
And if, however, we use the Dharma or take the Dharma to generate emotions such as anger, hatred, and pride, then this goes against, or this is countervailing the pure or correct Dharma.
Then tambi choosea de peda nga so then jikting ga then shawa pena then chi shlo gongbo o then chi pena pamjur rabo then so so ranga wangcha then so so ranga then nyancha da to so la then da yemba chimbo then meba chat yapo then znya o then ge tapshi zres chude.
And when we talk about the correct Dharma, this entails maintaining a proper level of, or an appropriate level of attachment to those things in our lives, such as our material riches, our power, our fame, and so forth.
Then also chunyamse len badang chula tenni then sholo khotani pamjur da ngubo dan so la jemba chichi ro then chuba then jamba choda cho parla then chakdo da yerdang dang so chichi ro then resona then chudi chu main bare ro yore.
However, if through our Dharma practice, our attachment to material things and worldly pursuits only grows, and if through our practice of the Dharma among Dharma followers themselves, hatred and anger are generated, then this is Dharma that goes against the practice of the pure Dharma.
Then nga so perna ta nyamlim ba ina le tangbo ba nyamlim ba tin ji ina then tangbo ne nga so tin te pamjor la jemba thop thang la jemba wangcha la jemba da nyan chak la jemba to so zawa ni yo nyan ka mar tin ji zina te yong ko mare tin ji song go ya mare.
Of course, this is not to say that for newcomers to Buddhism or beginners that they may not have any level of attachment to material wealth, position, power, or fame. This is not what is being said.
Then nga so sem ko na la tin pamjor da then so so mangchak da then thop thang wangcha 대초 막도 봐 잠바 그더니 지양 되니 메나 더니 가서 셈데 동반라고 그래.
However, if we have no pursuit for anything other than our own wealth and reputation and power, then our minds are really empty.
더니 셈 그나라 더니 지양 메니 더니 동바 더니 착소나 더니 등을 할래 봐 망보용 것도 샤와 그거 접탑 거면 되고요.
And if our minds become empty in this way, then we give rise to a great deal of suffering and we're not able to achieve anything. So it's just like a car not having a driver. Of course, without a driver, a car can't go anywhere. And in just the same way, when our minds become empty, then we become without pursuit and a sense of purpose.
Teni jikting ke teni shawan de so pena teni nga so teni pamjorta mangchakta de so teni mangbo teni nga so tondo ni ni teni shena teni namjigna teni nga so semyang teni thangchak kres.
If we excessively strive after things like material wealth and reputation, then one day our minds will become very tired, exhausted.
Teni thangchak pikap tena teni nga so lata teli jikting ke teni shawan de so main ba teli rambam thumbo jang ke teni nga so la tondo ni sha o teni yogo yores.
So at this point, when our minds become exhausted or tired of pursuing these things, then we need a level that is somewhat higher for our minds to pursue. We need things of a higher level to strive for.
Teni ti kapsata nga chon jikting ke teni ngupo chamala na teni ta tondo ni ra te sim ngarjang tap teni sim thangchat teni Telim thumbu tini chik tini tondo nyeriya tini ni chichik me ta tini yung ikamna tini me chogo tini sem tongbare machela nyongbo madu sambi samlo to tini yung goyore.
So if we get to a point where our striving for various worldly things brings our mind to a point of tiredness, but there is nothing beyond this for us to strive for, then we feel very empty. Life seems as though it has no meaning whatsoever.
Tani tata nga so tini mundam ka nangla tini tsuwa tini ngubo gun tsuwa ina yak takshu yu denken o tini ka mutu tsuwa nangla tini masila nyambo mundu tini shanken pe mangbo deks.
These days, among people who really enjoy absolutely excellent standards of living, there are many who nevertheless feel that life has no meaning whatsoever.
Tani indi ta nga so tangbu kapsa Tambo tini pena tini most chila samlo tana tambo teze wolwo imbi kapsa o tini zaki yakpoyo konji yakpoyo sosola tini ngupo unchwa yakpoyo na tini tati machok bachi chingmendo tini chaman riksong tini samni tini samkaresi tambo.
Di yanya sona jikshika kempo.
Ta nga so mozi ina tini tambo kapsa o tini kona pena zaki yakpoyo konji yakpoyo tini chwa taso tini ngupo unchwa ta yakpoyo na ta konjuk sonte ma jamba mari pachi mandik samni tindi samgares tambu kapsa tindi samgares.
So at the beginning, if a person is not so well off, then in terms of their clothes and what they eat, then they're relatively easily satisfied. They think, oh, this is okay, this is enough.
Teni teso tamchu poteni yotsabi jini
however, if in the beginning they were lacking these things, then once they attained them, then their way of thinking would start to give rise to change.
Kuna kabula ngi apu koma sonti ni kaba chire tambo dang ni bai
tambo chapel khora katni tonda te nyambo yo sam ko re yama sim gerwa timni ton nyambo mundik sam ko re
no se tambo imbe gapse deni nimbo du sam gendu
to tari ko to shatsa so teni ta teni jis tari ne shayo teni khora la to chama yakbo yo chawi jini teni ko sim ger ro yo re
deni tonda mindu sam gere
teni ti kapse teni ta zaki yakbo yo konji yakbo yo na ta tonda mundik sam ko yakbo yonken to so tonda mundik sam ko re.
So in the beginning stage, a person without these things would think it was rather of meaning to have good clothes and good things to eat. However, once they had actually attained these things and achieved them, then they would stop feeling that it was so meaningful. Their way of thinking would change.
Teni di kapsa teni tanga chola kang go yorzina zaji da gyonji da teni ngubu teni longshun da maimbi teli rambam thumbo jang ope na shamnyang je da teni sherap da o teni di kapsa teni go yor ton da nyer go yor di kapsa.
So at this point, when these things, material things, cease to be of meaning and interest, we need pursuits of a higher level, things like compassion and wisdom, pursuits such as these. It's at this point that we really need the Dharma. If at this point there is no Dharma there for us to pursue, then people fall into a state of despondence, exhaustion in their minds, not knowing what to do. Even though at this point we do need the Dharma, it's not possible just at this stage for everyone to have no attachments to worldly things whatsoever. However, if at this point one is able to practice the true and proper Dharma, then it can bring great benefit. There are some people who say that the practice of Buddhism is of benefit to our future existences. And they think that it isn't of great benefit to this present existence. But this is completely not true. With the exception of the Dharma and the Dharma alone, there is nothing from this life that can benefit our next life. So therefore, to say that practicing the Dharma is of benefit to our next existences is of course true. However, it isn't the case that our Dharma practice is only of benefit to future existences. It's also of great benefit to our minds in this very current existence. It's if we are able to really practice the true and correct Dharma that it is able to be of benefit to us. So if we are not able to turn from improper actions to a correct way of practicing the Dharma, then not only will we fail to achieve happiness, but we'll also give rise to great suffering. But there are cases of where people, through the Dharma or using the Dharma, cause harm to others. There are many cases in history of people using religion to cause great harm amongst each other. From a Buddhist perspective, all of this kind of action is completely contradictory to the teachings. And in cases such as this, we actually are using the Dharma, or using the Dharma to accumulate negative karma.
Tani chulugla tini da ngaso matuk mambu javiores.
There are also many cases where wars are waged on the basis of religion.
Tani matuk dawo tini unguso matuk jaban dawo mayna tani gadiksam kusho payang mambu shiores pauli.
Not just actual wars, but also very violent incidences that take place on the basis of religion.
Tani nangchu tani samlo toni shadna teso tamchu potini chutangarwares.
But from a Buddhist perspective of looking at things, all of these incidents are completely contradictory to the Dharma.
Tani indi nangchu ina tani ta chula tani mojala no pakia chula tani soso rang simla nyomumba mambo kia tani shi jana tani te chu jinde shipa maimba nala zigres.
So if Buddhism is used to cause harm to others or to give rise to a great many negative emotions in the mind, then this goes against this first Dharma, which is to move from improper action to the pure or correct Dharma.
Tani chu jinde shi go zea tani kajade partana tani halepa lesla poresi tani tangza pondao ta jachim pondao tani tinala chiko chimando lesla pondao res.
Of course, when we just look at this line of the text on the surface, to move from improper action to the correct Dharma, it seems very easy. It doesn't appear as something that is extremely vast and deep in scope. However, it's extremely important that this takes place at the level of our experience. So, for example, in Buddhism, we have the Southern school, the tradition of the Southern school. We have the Chinese Buddhist tradition, the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And each of these traditions originally developed in their own place. So Tibetan religion, Tibetan Buddhism developed in Tibet, Chinese Buddhism developed in China. But then slowly, gradually, each of these lineages or traditions spread all over the world. But in terms of the origin of each of these traditions, it was none other than India. So because of this, it's really important that everyone is friendly and harmonious and help and cooperate with each other and support each other. And by doing this, it is possible for Buddhism to serve many people. The Shakyamuni Buddha's own thought or vision was that his teaching should be of service to all beings. The nation of India that existed at the time of the Buddha was not as large as it is today. It was made up of many smaller nations. And the kings of many of these smaller nations had faith in the Buddha.
Teni kashi ti tapa ha lipa chimbo yores.
Some of these royal leaders had extremely great faith in the Buddha.
Perna teni jarbo teni lambo chiga jagar kati kapsa teni lambo chi to koso teni ndrmdr kati ta chishunda o to lambo chi resi ti kapsa.
In those days, the largest form of transport was to ride on an elephant.
Teni lambo chiga ti ngo tola teni jansha yakbo mambo tane teni jarbo su ti tola ndini ro resi.
And after decorating the elephant very ornately, the kings would ride on the elephant.
Teni lamkala teni ti kapsa teni ti sanji yana sanji ga nyantu teni gendemba teni tungro resi lamkala.
And occasionally these kings traveling on the elephants would either encounter the Buddha or the Buddha's disciples on the road.
Teni lamkala teni lower teni tsona jarbo teso alongbo chiga toni kali mar babko mar toy mar chungu yores.
And at those times when the king would encounter the Buddha or his disciples, he didn't slowly dismount from the elephant, he immediately jumped right off it.
Teni tindi indi ta jarbo so teni chuna yakbo mari jarbo sola nachi shisan duksoni teni so yores.
나지 제사는
Nachi lila namuzu saris mar chonjana.
But of course the king could hurt himself by jumping off like this.
Oh yeah. Teni tikap kutini nyantu so teni pen nangba gatini gendam batang teni yang nangba main bi gendam batso koso kuti patchin rabunda poresi jagarla.
Back in those days, members of the Buddhist monastic sangha and monastic practitioners of other traditions wore robes that were very similar.
Teni tikap teni jarbo so teni gendam batini lamkala teni tsona koso langsang yoni jarbo sama shangsar gares.
And the Gilbo called in Shaktsel.
Jarbo gendam bala shangsar gares.
And when he encountered these practitioners in the road, the king would immediately prostrate.
Teni tikap teni gendam ba mayim batini changbo so kombate yang gendam ba kombatan raporis changbo.
In those days, the clothes of beggars were quite similar to those that monks wore.
Teni kap sa changbo dang tsona jarbo so teni gendam bari san yang shangsar gares.
So occasionally the monk would come across a beggar and get down on the road and prostrate.
Teni ta jarbo teni chembo teni teni changbo la teni shangsana yakbo mari gendam ba teni narza thola tak jab go so ne teni tak jab yores.
So because it wasn't good for a king to be prostrating to a beggar, the members of the monastic sangha put a symbol on their robes.
Teni tindri teni tapa chembo yoti teni sanji shacha tapa ti kaps karte khola teni wangcha teni go sam ko yona teni jagar ke jarbo sila teni wangcha na korang ka lala gandhi lengo na le lapores.
So at this time, when the various kings of these nations had such great faith in the Buddha, if the Buddha Shakyamuni himself had been seeking power, then it would have been very easy for him. It would have been very easy for him to achieve power by means of these leaders.
Teni jarbo tiso teni wangcha la teni jagar la ti kaps pe na sanji teni wangjir teni shego na le lapo pe le lapo yores. Jagar katini jarwo tiso wangshala teni sanji khorang katini wangjir zenako. Oh, tongzhi. Wangjir zishi samna lesla pu yores.
So at this time it would have been a relatively easy matter for the Buddha to take advantage of the power of these leaders who had faith in him to exercise control over the place of India.
Yena ti kapsa sanji shacha tapatini jagar katini chapcha kanganala jigyo mares. Jabo chik chapsi ganala jigyo mares.
However, at that time, the Buddha did not participate in the political life of any of these nations or states.
Teni jarbo so teni namjin teni to sanji kamdala chujisa yongores.
But the kings would go before the Buddha to seek or request teachings.
Teni ti kapsa jarbo sola teni loso jabni 야보 소소랑 되니 노파 쳔보시 되니 메망갈라네 고모 mambol래 앙고 mambol래 된디시 마님 바다 되니 야로랑 그 샴녀지 곰 고서 된디 그 소소 남진 잡고 요레스.
And at this time, the Buddha would impart advice to the different kings. He would tell them not to give rise to excessive desire, not to collect excessive amounts of money from ordinary people, to cultivate compassion. This is the kind of advice he would give.
되니 디값스 되니 상제 야로초라 되니 소소 간디 잡요 따따용 가서 되니 과추 나라 따나 따텀 그래서.
And the kind of advice that the Buddha gave the kings back in these times is something that we are still able to read about in the teachings of the Buddha, the Buddhist scriptures.
베나 야로라 담빔도 찌제한다고 되니 야로라 되니 소소자 비tin 상제가 송 베나 먼저와 찌 자틴디 요레스 과추 나라 야로라 담빔도 찌제 그래.
In the Buddhist canon, there are 10 different sutric texts that revolve around the advice that was given by the Buddha to different kings.
되니 상제 고랑 같더니 찹시당 되니 고랑 그 춘이 바탁나고 신이 지그레스.
So the Buddha maintained a large distance between his religious teachings and politics.
되니 인디 상제 되니다 상제 그 추대 되니 문 남라 되니 왕기리야 되니 zel라 당보니 상로 당요 말레스.
So the Buddha gave
상제 그 추대 당보니 무초라 왕기리야 되니 zel라 상로 당요 말레스. 왕기르시 되니 zel라 상로 당요 말레스.
So the Buddha, to begin with, gave no thought to using his teachings to control others.
되니 치즈라 상로 당오세 문 남라 잡시지야 되니 zel라 상로 당요레스.
If this wasn't what he had in mind, then what did he have in mind? Well, his intention was for the teachings to be of service to others.
되니 타바 침보 되니 상식 생활 περ나 되니 파파 샤리즈제한다고다 되니 파파 잠바양제한다고 되니 상지가 롬마페 롬마 침보 되니 망보요레스.
And among his disciples were many great Mahayana bodhisattvas such as Chenrezig and Manjushri.
되니 코소 상마 되니 다가다 문 소라 되니 잡시정켄 다는 멋지 보지기요 말이 쪽짝 상마라 잡시정켄 그 되니 잡시바 후위안 따버레스.
And each of these bodhisattva disciples were people who served everyone, and not just humans, but all beings. They were primarily people of service.
되니 인디 되니 가서 되니 배는 나추 되니 다다 보지리나 잡지리나 되니 다 소지리나 되니 그 나추디 가서 상마가 되니 다 가서 그 추대 상지가 되니 송이 값스 되니 상지 랑 되니 고랑 것이 추도 샤와 가리가 돈도 송바레 때 하고 그래서.
So, regardless of whether it is the southern tradition of Buddhism or the Chinese or Tibetan Buddhism tradition of Buddhism, it's really important that everyone understands the Dharma as it was taught by the Buddha in his time.
되니 가서 상지 것들이 고랑 것들이 추대 심전라 판도가 심전라 잡시지야 되니들라 상로 당요나 가서 되니 추대라 되니 되니 머잘라 왕지리야 머잘라 고르코르탕아 되니 주시잖아 되니 추추준듯이 바 마임 바세 그래서.
So if the Buddha's vision was that his teachings should be of benefit to other beings and of service to other beings, then if we use the Dharma to control or dominate others or to deceive them, then this is conduct that is not in accordance with practicing the Dharma in a correct way according to the first Dharma of Gampopa.
되니 인디 나추라도 때네 되니 배나가서 되니 특바 잡난 특바 첨보 잡난다 특바 총총 잡난다 상마 되니 상제가 공부하던 가르게요.
And just the same, if we, by means of Buddhism, or use Buddhism to engage in fights with others, regardless of whether they're small scale or large scale, then this is conduct that is, goes against, contradicts the Buddhist teachings. And is also conduct that is not practice of the pure Dharma.
Tini tin rabo tini jing chba jawa tini ko chapchin ma yin na nga so tini sha chung chung ko thola nga so chu drub ko yin zini tila kha yar ni tini tila tini me jamba la tini no pan ram ra kina tini te yang tini chu chu jun du shi pa ma yin ba se gre.
And it need not necessarily be really serious kinds of fights or conflicts. Any time that we say that we are practicing Dharma, but in actual fact use this behavior to harm others, then this is directly goes against the first Dharma of Gampopa, which is to turn from improper conduct to the practice of the pure Dharma.
Tini nga chu chu nyam se limbi kaps tini nga so chu ti mo jan la pan to ko ndu mundu te ta go.
So when we are practicing the Dharma, we need to examine whether or not it is of benefit to others or not.
Tini me jan la japshi je tab ko ndu mundu te ta go.
And whether or not our practice is of service to others.
Tini te tab ko yona
and if our practice is of benefit and service to others, then it is in accordance with the practice of the correct Dharma. But if our practice is not in accordance with these goals, then it cannot be considered to be, we cannot be considered to be following, moving from improper action to the practice of the pure Dharma.
Tini certainly no pashi jana tini tela tini no pala lan jabandra tini sheke amares.
So for a real practitioner of the Dharma, not only do they not volitionally harm others, but even if others harm them, they don't retaliate.
Tini ngama tini ngato the bog tini nyamlin tini lojong yakbo tini shenken tini lamas tini kwarang rachula tini te gumjam ni jigyores.
Lojong lobjong.
Lojong chigme.
Lojong
shenken shimshi.
Lase. Rikunanga tini de yoro.
Rachula gangla tini nyamlin shini jigyores.
So there was once a Tibetan Lama who had a great foundation in study and practice, and he was practicing in a hermitage in the mountain.
Tani tindi go lojong nyamlin tindi yakbo shini denken kwarang la tini ngupo tini mangbo yo mares zaje konji kan na te yakbo ta mangbo ta ti ji yo mares.
So as a Lama with a great foundation of study and practice, he didn't have wonderful things to eat or nice clothes or anything like this.
Yena ti nyenko la yongken ka tini mudbo de so tini tela tini te kma tini kushin ken tini yores.
However, in the vicinity of his hermitage were some thieves.
Tani nyama sigla kma yong ne tini te lama ga tini chalak chama khar ne tini khorang ga yong se zoba khar ne tini phupa gola mar thong go se chak gola.
One day the thieves came to his hermitage and took all of his things. They carried them out the entrance to his cave.
Tani lama shilo la rongola gum japsa sone tini mar yong yo tini khorang ka phupa go ni tuksong.
At that point, the Lama had been outside meditating on the mountain, but he was just returning, and so they encountered each other at the entrance to his cave. What do you all think the Lama said to the thief at this point?
Yeah. Tini lama par jigne khorang ka khar jalak khari lama yasta masta jalak yalo ma lo shini sita yores. 그런 거 잘락 금마 가발라 크리오디 드니 라마 파르도니 드니 잘락도서 어여뭐 간디 크리오 따요 그래서
So the Lama, the thief was carrying all of the Lama's possessions on his back. So the Lama examined, turned over the things he had to see what the thief had taken with him.
드니 금마가 다 그런 거 크로지도 드니 라마가 파 촉지 인사를 뜻삼 바래서 금마
And the thief thought that the Lama was going to take back all of the things that he had stolen.
드니 라마 그런 거 가발라 크리오비 잘락도서 드니 야로 말로 시니 드니 라마 딱 그냥 직송 바래서
But after the Lama had rifled through the things on the thief's back a little bit, he ran straight back into his cave.
드니 라마 코랑 것더니 잘락 잠바서 드니 다른 켜랑 거 락문득 다른 드낙질 상득제니 라마 쫙 끄는 캐니 코랑 라지니 버렸어.
And the Lama said to the thief, "Oh, you're missing a thing. There are a few things you didn't get." And so he brought them out and then put them on the thief's back.
다 거기서 냠림방 오만도 뜻들이 연결했어.
So for a real practitioner, this is the kind of things they do.
내 사람 같이는 뭐지란데서 거기들이 시나 탕삼 그듯.
And I think that it is possible that Gachin Rinpoche and lamas like him might do this kind of thing.
드니 냠림 신경 라마 냠총소 드니 시그레스.
Humble Lama practitioners do this kind of thing.
드니 남정가 저 측보고 돌아는데 드니 득망보 드니 즉보 신경소 드니 심시때 하고 말했어.
But whether or not those lamas that sit on elaborate high thrones do this kind of thing, it's hard to say.
즉시 나 로마 참아 지그니 바로 동즈 드니스나 하고 말해.
It's possible that these kinds of lamas would chase after the thief and hit them. 그래서 되니 로마 되니 파동.
로마에서 동 로마서 지그니 끝마동 제나마시 즉시나.
Oh yeah, so it's possible that they might send their own disciples after the thief. But real practitioners wouldn't do this kind of thing. So this is that was an example of turning from improper action to practicing the pure Dharma. But you might say that if it's a bit difficult for all of us to practice in this way.
And
that is why just before I said that even though on the surface it looks easy to turn from improper action to the true Dharma, in actual fact it's difficult. As for myself personally, those Tibetan lamas who are humble practitioners, I have great faith in them. And I love them very much. But I really give no thought to these trukuls and lamas with big titles and so forth. Those practitioners who really know how to practice the pure Dharma, those practitioners who are very humble and have studied very well and practiced very well. But when I hear about people who call themselves lamas or great lamas or tulkus, in my mind I wonder if this is really the case.
직신나 인질이 직신나 저 인미시 된디 삼고요.
It's possible that it is the case. It's also possible that it might not be. This is how I think.
된디 인디 랑상 따빠께 그 메.
So I don't spontaneously or immediately give rise to faith in these teachers.
더니 냠림바 된디 문에 더니 로종야 보신 그 된디 냠림바 라마 냠총 된디 인디 어떤지 레지진다고 어떤이 고나 되는 가서 따빠끼요서 나라라서 나타나 따빠끼요 가고요서
Dendezina, deni kutsodrezina, deni chise.
맞아봐 어떤지 레지 된디 냠림 바된지 레지 고나 되는 가보시고요 따빠시고요.
However, if I hear it said that a particular lama is a modest and humble practitioner with excellent study, then I do give rise to faith. I immediately have a feeling of liking. What does everyone think the reason for this is?
The
reason is that if they practice in accordance with the true Dharma, then they are a real practitioner. So when we say about practicing the true Dharma from a Mahayana perspective, what do we mean?
Teni lasam nam takagone teni suso rangla teni muir gang maybe toni teni simjin la teni pandongkan teni zina teni taba chimbo chuchujun to shinken teres.
So a Mahayana practitioner who is in accordance with the true Dharma is one who is completely sincere and pure-hearted in their motivation, with no ulterior motive whatsoever, and a sole desire to be of benefit to other beings.
Teni chosu sama te tana te teni sk ko re o tanguni nyamlin teni ya po shinken teni nyamchung o teni mejala teni pan tongkan teni re samna o tate chuchujun de shinken re samna ngunjun china ndukyo res.
Kunda Gampopa, teni yanjaji songro.
Yeah, teni chuchujun de shizin kan de teni da chuba lojong ya po shinken. Teni rawazi ke teni nyamchung shinken. Mejala pan tongkan teni zina o tante chuchujun de shinken re samni ngunjun china chokores.
So, if a practitioner, if a practitioner is a good practitioner, is a humble practitioner, and is of benefit to other beings, then you would be able to recognize. You would be correct in recognizing this person as a practitioner who is in accordance with the true Dharma.
Tendigo Shabamao teni tang gui Gimson Chimboji Yamare, so to so Rala Tagores.
Ranga Dagorba.
Mojamba to Chuba Reta Mares in the Tinishapa Mambo Jabgoya, Tontak Chimbojang as your Mares, so to so Rang Chubare do Damadu Tagores.
So rather than talk a lot about whether or not others are good practitioners or not, the most important thing is for us to examine whether we ourselves are true practitioners. And among everyone who has come here today, we are all true practitioners. This is something that we can tell or evaluate by looking at ourselves.
Do
we use the Dharma to give rise to jealousy and anger and insult each other?
딘디 그 발라 초양 딱 바마리 나양 딱 바인지 딘디 제가 은도.
Are there among the students here today people who say, who criticize, say, people who follow the Hinayana vehicle, who criticize the Mahayana vehicle, and vice versa? Are there practitioners of the Sutric tradition who criticize the Tantric tradition and so forth?
딘디 그 샤와가 나랑가 소소랑 지그 은도.
Do we participate in this kind of activity?
딘이 요나 딘이 당가 초딘이 추추준도 셰그요 말에.
If we do, then we are not in accordance with the true Dharma.
딘이 메나 딘이 당가서 딘이 추추준도 셰그 요나 척절에서 갈때 딘디 셰그 메나.
If we don't do these things, then we can be considered to be in accordance with the pure Dharma.
근데 가서 추제야 돼 가래 뭐 참마스는 르보단 덤보줘야 된지 그 돈다 그래서 추제야 돼.
So when we talk about Dharma, this is something that necessarily entails everyone being friendly and harmonious.
이 뭐 참마 지그지그라 조바고 고야 된지 그 돈다 그래서.
It entails us exercising patience and forbearance towards others.
근데 뭐 참마 지그지그라 고알이야 고알이잖아 리제包容
And also entails us having understanding and tolerance for others. And also entails us having minds that are open and relaxed. And entails us having minds that are free. If through our study of the Dharma we are able to do all of these things, then this is a sign of being in accordance with the true Dharma. However, if through our continued practice of the Dharma we only generate the opposite of these things, then this is a sign of not being in accordance with the true Dharma. The real Mahayana teachings are of service to others. It's not like many politicians in the world who say that it's for the benefit of others, but in actual fact it's for some private purpose. The Mahayana teachings are really and truly oriented to be of service to others. So each of us needs to assess whether or not we are able to practice in this way, and if we are, then this is in accordance with the true Dharma. If we can't, however, then even though we might call ourselves practitioners and other things, in actual fact, we won't be in accordance with the true Dharma. Do we Do we seek to elevate our position and increase our power through the Dharma? There are some people in Eastern countries who do this kind of thing. And there are some who say that this also takes place in the West as well. But as to whether this is the case, I'm not sure. I've only heard this, I've not seen it with my own eyes. And among that which I've heard, there's many people who say things this way and others who say that way.
Tani karere zena tanga tini lama chu yoni tini wang chu karda. Tani gormu mangbu tini jinji yona di nyenkorla dena chokore tini segandu.
I've heard it said that there are some lamas who come and give empowerments and say that for those who make gifts of large amounts of money are able to sit up close near the front.
Pena gormu tongtak ninda bo jinji yona dena dena choksaris dana dena choksaris.
If someone, say, gave $2,000, then they would be able to sit right by the side of Kempel's table.
Yeah. Tani tongtak tani chikda ngabjan ro jinji mena di tholan dik choksa mari ten dik gosaris.
But if they only gave, say, $1,500, they wouldn't be able to sit right by the table. They'd just have to sit down the front near the carpet, near the stage.
Tani tongtak chingda bole jinji mena kyosun dik gosa tani pan dik gosaris.
And if they gave, say, $1,000, then they would get a first row seat over there.
Tani ngabja jinji mena muni jabtin dik gosaris.
And if they only gave $500, then they'd have to sit at the back.
Tani ta mar rimbab jinda do gogoris.
And as the amount of money that was given decreased, their seat would go further to the back.
Tani gormo chijang jinji mena ngaso go mar jab kins.
And if someone gave no money whatsoever, then they would simply close the doors on them.
Tani shena yak bo nduk ji tata.
What does everyone think? Is this a good thing to do or not?
Ti chula tani soso tani toptang jimto la tanga marwes.
Is this not a case of using the Dharma to enhance one's position?
Di lan tani ye dang yun tini lan dik yun kente la wang na kepa ji top ji lampo ji yang top ji yang maris.
Those who sit to the left and right of the Dharma throne don't get any particular privilege in terms of receiving the empowerment.
Ngaso kapar kum chungda da boyna na hale patarang bo sona tini chunda leb ko yo mare ka tinyan thap ko yo maris. Kapar kum chungda shuji xin hao. Tagrang bo re sona tini yong thap ko maris par. Kapar kum chungda For
example, if we go very far away, then the telephone signal can't be heard. Let's say, okay. So it's just like with a phone signal, even if one goes a very far distance, you can still hear the telephone. And it's the same with receiving an empowerment too. There's no such thing as sitting far away and not receiving the empowerment.
Yeah. Then kabar kun chungda rawo inna teni teza tagni nam chungda yakbo yochires. Kabar kun chungda inna teni yuna kabar kun chungda yosa teni changdong de la teza nyena teza kabar yakbo dasaro yochires.
Of course, with the phone signal, if you are closer to the signal, then the sound is of a better quality.
Teni wanglan de la yona ti tagni pola yona chichik teni topjiwa mal hakbo chiang topjiwa mares.
However, in terms of receiving an empowerment, sitting right by the side has no extra benefit at all. Whether or not one receives an empowerment hinges on the faith of the student. It has no connection whatsoever with the amount of money they give.
Tani ngaso samati lama wang karteni loma so wang jiyong tani ngaso dina wang kar ke yore shawa de ngaso ko shawa so de kangresina samala wang yang potobya terias.
So when students request an empowerment and a lama comes to give an empowerment, the task at hand is ensuring that everyone receives the empowerment properly.
Tani ti yen sakti tini da ngaso wang tobya la pantok mena tani dina yaran digna chso tonda yore.
So if it's of no benefit to receiving the empowerment, or sitting right by the side of the throne is of no benefit to the empowerment being effectively received.
Tani tsola tini ta ti loma sola ngargir yarkekiyor matom ngarje mebashi mares.
Through practices such as these, disciples only give rise to pride. It's not helping them to dispel pride.
Teni ngarang ta di tholan dingkhen gomo mambo trankhen da nga khoso da da me sambodo tendis.
They only think that, well, I'm here, I'm sitting up high, I gave a lot of money, I'm different to everybody else. This is how they think. And so they give rise to pride, don't they? All of these kinds of practices are completely contradictory to moving from improper action to the practice of the pure Dharma.
Gomba sena koga. Oh ya te kona gomba yang kaka trajin dus. Jamba mandrawa janda mandrawa.
Nyanja sona jikriba.
Gomo tongchak chik tini ni janken go la tini gomba perna tini tombong da tishu.
Loma ina retang lama re.
Lama la chazi yoji loma la gomo shingo.
So those who give more money wear different clothes. They wear special clothes.
So the go down to us. Oh yeah. Teni yang teni gomo te nyung chankala yang teni yang komba pena yang ndo yang jamba do teni chonjin dus.
And those who make donations of a slightly lesser amount are given clothes of a slightly different color.
Oh yeah. Teni pena gomo tongcha ni chankayena teni komba sero jombatawa.
For example, those who give donations of, say, $2,000 are given clothes of a gold color.
And
those who give $1,000, say, are given red clothes to wear. But if, say, someone just gives $100, then they're not given any nice clothes to wear at all.
But this is
whose invention is this? It is certainly not an invention of the Dharma. This doesn't exist within the Dharma.
Teni pena Taiwan la tedi shinkendu nga lokashi na la soni tedi kaja mambo sha kosola teni sha yores nge.
So in Taiwan there are quite a lot of people who do this kind of thing, and over the last couple of years when I've been to Taiwan I've criticized this.
Temma mambo gang maris.
And made many people quite displeased.
Te gang me patenge ha ko des.
And I know that they were unhappy. However, I would not say things simply to make people happy or like me. What I say is what the Dharma needs. These are the things that I say.
So of
the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa, this first line of the text is extremely important. So to turn to the proper Dharma and practicing improper Dharma leads to the lower realms. These two we need to understand together. We need to put these two together. So things like this, those that have just been described, are really actions that are not in accordance with the true Dharma.
근데 대소 추 마인 바당 추당 간로 요아데 가서 하고 고 그래서 추 소중 신경 소 하고 고 그래서.
So it's really important that as students of the Dharma, we understand that these kinds of actions are in contradiction with the true Dharma.
ngacho nang chudazi na mula tini japshi jiate kangrezina tini ngupo tang gormo tini japshi to so te mareze ngacho ngupo yo gormo yo na to tini mo jamba na la jini japshi jina chokore rete so te mareze.
So the purpose of Buddhism's of Buddhism's service is not for the sake of acquiring objects and material things, wealth. Of course, if we have these things to give to others, it's fine for us to give them.
Tani ngupo jinji yo na te pe yagborze karchim borze mi mangbola halepa tini tim kho yo re tani mo kyobo mangbo yo ti sola jinji yo na pe yagbores.
Of course, if we do have these things, objects or wealth to give to others, it's good, it's important, we're able to help a lot of poor people.
Yena ngacho nangchu tini mo jan la jinji te karirezena shirp ta nyarji o sem go to ko bo to so jing go yores.
However, primarily what Buddhism gives to others is the gifts of compassion and wisdom rather than material things.
Tindi yindi tini ngacho nangchu zia de kanti hako go re ma to ba ngacho mo mambo z ngacho mi jam dra le kan jam dra mambo le de na to so nangchu re sam tini sam go do nangchu go gongba yin sa re sam go do.
So it's very important that everyone understands exactly what Buddhism is. There are many people who think that all these various kinds of actions are Buddhism.
nangchu go tini ngacho mo jan la phanto ya te ngacho tari ko na sha patere tini shirp ta nyarji ni kherne tini mo jan la japshi ya mo jan la phanto ga tere.
The benefit that Buddhism brings others is by taking wisdom and compassion to be of service to others.
Tini te shi thap sona tini ngacho chu chu jin de she baaz ji tina la ro res.
So if we are able to succeed in doing this, then we have succeeded in practicing or turning to the practice of the pure Dharma.
That there is terang ngato tini ta chu chu de tisot tiri zik tini tonsong tini te chu chu jin de she baaz ji ti thola chama ga samlo ya po tang ro chi.
So that concludes our morning session. This first Dharma of Gampopa, turning from the Dharma to the true Dharma, please everyone think about carefully. It's possible that by saying these kinds of things that many people might feel offended. And if we put these teachings online, it's even more people will become offended. However, on behalf of Gampopa, I apologize to everyone for this. So we'll finish the morning's teaching here. And we'll finish with the dedication of merit.
Page 23. Yes. Sometimes this have a little bit different. Some is 23, maybe some is 22. Dorjenchang, Telopa, Naropa, Marpa, Malarepa, Dharma Lodro, Gampopa, Pamutrupa, and Lodrigompa. Please bestow upon us most auspicious blessing of all the Kagyu Lamas. But this virtue may achieve nations. by defeating all enemies' confusion. May all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara. Bodhicitta, the excellent in the precious mind. Where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray the Lama may have good health. I pray the Lama may have a long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separate from you. As Manjushri, the Vero realized the autonomic state, and as did Samedabhadra, I will follow in the path and fully dedicate all the merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the invisible Sangha, order may the merit shall bear fruit. Next page. By this virtue, collecting in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by innate rule of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teaching of the Gampopa Shiri, who is omniscient, Lord of Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of the samsara. Om mani padme Om mani padme Om mani padme.
Everybody, please stay for 5 minutes as Khenchen Rinpoche leaves the room with Khenpo. Please stay in your seat for 5 minutes. We have some important announcements. If you'd like to make any offerings, Khenchen does not take personal offerings, but you can make it out there at the reception. You can make your kata and offerings. Sister Fawn is there. Om mani padme Om mani padme Om mani. Okay, everybody, just 5 minutes, please. Take your seats. Brothers and sisters, thank you. For those who do not know me, my name is Achi Sabel, and we are truly blessed to have had this incredible teaching from Khenchen Tsutrim Lodro. I think teachers like him, as a Tibetan who's had the privilege of being immersed in the Dharma since 1974, gives us great inspiration, both in the relative plane and in the absolute plane. So, talking about Khenchen Rinpoche's great teaching, this center was founded by Gachen Rinpoche. Many of you have met him. Gachen Rinpoche, to me as a Tibetan, is a true hero. As Khenchen pointed out, his humility, his great compassion, his great love, a true hero in the sense, as a true great representative in this body as a Tibetan, to benefit others through compassion and wisdom. So this center is just about actually 2 years old. So it's a beautiful, incredible power place. It does not belong to a few of us who are now on the board. I look forward to a lot of the younger folks here in the 50s and 40s and 30s to come and actively participate. Please, we really want you to participate. There are a few of us who are working hard to get it sort of established. Well, it is all to do about generating compassion and wisdom through what the Lord Buddha had taught. And it is through great teachers in the future like Khenchen and Garchen who will inspire us. But we do need this physical center to thrive. So the good news, from about $1 million, we have brought it down, the mortgage, to $520,000. So it is really incredible. It is through a hard work of few people here, the Bui family particularly, and there are some other great sponsors who do not want to be mentioned. But we do really need the support, financial support. So one of the ways we have generated, we have 137 folks who have sponsored one of the beautiful Buddha images. It's $1,000. Like myself and my wife, we sponsored one in the name of our family, and it represents, it will be here as long as America exists. I wish it for many, many thousands of years to come. It is to inspire and generate what Khenchen said, wisdom and compassion. So please, dig deep in your pockets. If you can't cough up $1,000 right away, put it on your credit card. Welcome to America. So put it on your credit card. Talk to Sister Fawn and everybody out in the front. You can do monthly, $100, $10, whatever. So please, we need your help. We have 137 folks who have done this so far, and really it's gone a long ways. That's like 137,000. So imagine, we have 1,023 Holy Buddhas here. It's going to be here. It's part of you. It's going to inspire others. So please consider that. So if we just have 1,000 people, our debt is over. Then we can really concentrate on getting Khenchen back, right? Garchen Rinpoche back and other teachers back, and concentrate, like we have the Garchen Children's Program, which is like incredible. So those folks who have young kids, we have that every Sunday. We have a wonderful, incredible resident teacher, Khenpo Samdubla. He's again one of those shining stars, I say, younger generation, humility, his knowledge. So that's one thing I wanted to share with you. In October, we are going to take this incredible pilgrimage celebration, the 800th anniversary of the founding father of this lineage, Choba Jiktin Sumgun. This is going to be celebrated in Changchubling, the place of compassion, in Dehradun. So far, we have about, I think, 12 to 15 folks who have signed on, and thank you so much, Faith, for spreading the word and inspiring majority of those people who have signed on. So if you're interested, you can contact me or anybody out in the front. Okay, it's a 16-day pilgrimage, and then later, Khenpo is going to actually go on a pilgrimage of his own, and some folks are going to join him. So it's going to be an incredible experience to India and to Nepal. So then we have Khenpo's project. Now, Khenpo, when he went back to Tibet after many years, and it's also been my own experience, I've been back 5 times to central Tibet, and when you go back, there's so much need there. And again, in Khenchen Rinpoche's incredible advice, knowledge is the key. Knowledge in the temporal and in the absolute level. So those of us who are practitioners, we study the Dharma. We study the Tibetan language. We have so many things to access. But in Tibet, Khenpo said that there are many monasteries that are being rebuilt after the Cultural Revolution. Spectacular. But what they lack is education. Education in the temporal sense of reading, how to read and write, the sutras, tantric studies. So he has a project, education project, and just now there are about 500 kids in his village. So it's an incredible opportunity to help him with this project. So please contact Faith Debbie from Ohio, or Fawn. Anybody out in the front, okay? I think that's it, unless anybody else has anything to share. So we will gather back at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody, sorry I forgot to announce, there's lunch being served downstairs, vegetarian lunch for everybody. And the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa book is on sale. It's in the corridor, okay? So lunch downstairs. Lunch downstairs, lunch downstairs. The Gampopa book is here in the corridor. Thank you.